Hi everyone, it's Nicole Spohr here today with a couple of letterboard shaped cards featuring Mama Elephant June 2020 stamps and dies. So we're using all products from the June release to create these letterboard shaped card designs. I always am a huge fan of shaped cards, and this letterboard set, you can use it with or without the connector to make this a shaped card, or you can simply add a letterboard to the front of your card if you want to. So really versatile. You can use this with any of your stamp sets that you have at home or die sets. I'm going to be sharing how to use the new My Pet Kitties and School Rules stamps and dies. We're going to start. We need a front and a back of our card. So I die cut those from white cardstock. Then I used both the letterboard frame and the insert to die cut the frame for the letterboard, the front of the card, from some white wood grain. The insert with the black, or the lines in it, is from black licorice cardstock, and then the connector. So we actually need 5 pieces to make the card itself. And really, while that sounds like a lot, this card is really flat. It's going to go through the mail very easily. I'm going to put some double-sided adhesive on both sides of the connector flap. I'm using some kind of wide double-sided adhesive. I'm also using a bone folder to get that really nice crease. We're going to connect it to one side of the card. We're going to remove the backing paper from the other side of the flap, and then we'll place the back of the card. And this is going to be our card base. So this is actually going to stand up like a little letterboard. It's super cute. I love how this works. Now I opted to go ahead, and I wanted that frame to have texture, so I die cut the white frame from some Fawn wood grain cardstock, and I'm going to frame this whole thing out with double-sided adhesive and then pop it on the front of my card, and then we're going to place the inside insert and inlay that inside of the card. And I am going to do all of these exact steps here twice. So I had gone ahead off camera and I die cut all of the components for both card bases at once, and I'm putting one together on camera, and then I'm going to put the other one together before we stamp all of our images and color them for our cards. I just want to make sure I get that lined up perfectly. And I found it was a little less messy. When possible, I try not to use liquid adhesive just because it's less messy. For the letters, and I think even for all of the images I'm using today, I used liquid adhesive. But for these big areas, I like to use a tape runner or like double-sided adhesive, something like that. I opted to go ahead and stamp all of my images for both cards all at once, and we're going to just do all of our coloring to start with. Now, that being said, I started with what I thought I needed, and I ended up going back and stamping and coloring 3 additional images for both cards. 2 of the images are going to go on the My Pet Kitties cards, and then 1 extra image is going to go on the School Rules card. And that is, both of these stamp sets have a very similar look. So they're going to be interchangeable, the critters are. If you want to use them together, it's very easy. There's other stamp sets from Mama Elephant that are going to coordinate with these. So what I'm going to end up doing is taking one of the little sitting mouse from the My Pet Kitties, and we are going to put that on School Rules. I think it just works really nice with that. We could take the butterflies if we wanted to. They just work really nicely together. I have stamped my images on Bristol Smooth cardstock with the Fawn Jellyfish No Line Coloring ink, and I am coloring in my images with some Zig Clean Color Real Brush markers. I have not done any no line coloring in a while, so this was a really fun little project to create. I love how relaxing it is to just sit and color. These images, again, are darling. Definitely classic Mama Elephant style here. Something I was really excited about as well, the My Pet Kitties stamp set. My oldest son actually just got his first pet, and he adopted a little kitty. So this card's going to go to him because he's really, really thrilled to have a pet. And so that kind of just worked out. I think that that's really fun that there is a sentiment in this stamp set that says congratulations on your new kitty, as well as, oh meow, it's your birthday. So if you want to use a different sentiment, while I made this a congratulations on your new kitty card, you could switch out those letterboard letters, do a happy birthday sentiment, and then add the birthday phrase if you wanted to. You could do a thank you kind of greeting, because there's also thanks for being so meow-tastic. So lots of options here, plus you can come up with all kinds of greetings on your own and spell them out with the letterboard letters if you wanted to. As for the school one, I thought this is so great, just as a thank you or an encouragement type thing for teachers. So I did do a teacher style card here, and the sentiments in the teaching stamp set are thank you teacher, here's to a great year, you got this, it takes a big heart to shape little minds. Just really, really nice and fun. And again, you can always create other style of cards with these images, even though they have a lot of school type imagery with them, with the desk and the chalk and the backpack. I think if you're really creative, you can find other ways to use these as well. So I am coloring in my images. I've got my little black kitty, I've got my little orange tabby, which has a little blue ribbon around the neck, and then a ball of yarn. We're going to color in the little yellow butterfly. I started with one butterfly. We are going to go ahead and go back and stamp and color the other butterfly. And then the final image that I started with for the My Pet Kitties card is the little sitting mouse. I don't love mice. I mean, I don't know that anyone really loves them when they end up in the house when you don't want them, but these are really cute images, and I think they're going to work really nicely just for lots of cards. So I'm going to actually end up using both of the mouse images from this stamp set. I started with the sitting mouse, and I'm going to stamp him twice because we're going to use him on our school rules card as well. Before I get too far into coloring in the images for school rules, I'm going to go ahead with a black pen and add the detail back in for whiskers, nose, eyes, all of that good stuff there for the critters so that their faces really pop. We're going to go back with our brown and light brown, same colors we used for the tabby. We're going to use those for our little fox who is holding a piece of chalk. So I want it to look like on the teaching card that he's standing there on his tiptoes with his chalk, writing the sentiment that I'm stamping and embossing in white. I think that looks really cute. For the tip of his tail, part of his face, and paws, we're going to use medium beige. And I'll just pull out a little of the brown color if I need some shading from the rest of his body. For the chalk, I trace that with our gray tint marker that we used with the natural gray. Want to go ahead and go in and add in his face as well. Now the apple and the stack of books, I used lots and lots of colors here because I wanted this to be really colorful and tie into the colorful sentiment that we're going to add with the Letterboard Combo letters. So we have our red apple with a little brown stem and green leaf. And then we're going to do a little rainbow stack of books with a dark blue, a kind of aqua or turquoise, I guess I would say, color, green, yellow, orange, red, and pink. And it's such a simple little image, but I think it might be one of my favorites because I just love the little rainbow order of the books. Then we have our final image for now, until I stamp that other mouse, and that is the bunny with the globe, which I absolutely adore. This was the first image I picked from this stamp set. I knew I wanted to use this, and then I actually just decided I wanted to fill in that whole bottom area of our letterboard. So we're going to color in the ocean with our blue and light blue. We'll color in any of the ground mass areas with light green and yellow green. And then we're going to use our natural gray and gray tint to draw in the rest of the little globe and add the rest of the accents before we color in our sweet little bunny. For a bunny, I used gray tint, and I'm going to blend that out with the actual blenders. So that's how I'm going to get that really nice light gray color for our sweet little bunny. The insides of the ears, just like any of the critters here, is pale pink. And then we want to make sure we draw in his little face. We're going to grab the coordinating dies for both My Pet Kitties and School Rules and die cut all of our images. So once we have everything die cut, it's time to kind of lay out the design of our card. I am taking a sentiment from each stamp set. I've laid out my images, and that gives me the space so I know where to glue down my letters for the big, bold sentiment. These letters are part of the letterboard combo, and I wanted them to be rainbow. A way to get around this without having to, because it's one die, all of the letters, numbers, punctuation, it's all one die. So if you don't want to die cut all of that with every color of cardstock and you want to have a multiple color greeting like I did for my cards, I just take scissors and cut little like rectangles and lay them out on my die over the letters I want to die cut and run it through, and I can get multiple letters with one pass out of multiple colors of cardstock. And that is how I kind of save the cardstock, so I am not die cutting a zillion letters with every pass of the machine. So for my kitty card, I did perfect for that die cut sentiment. I had already laid out my sentiment. I probably should have stamped it and embossed it before I glued down my sentiment, but I didn't. So I'm going to do that next. I'm using a powder tool to help keep the embossing powder directly on the stamped part of this here. I'm using white embossing powder because, again, I want this to look like a chalkboard. Anywhere that those little embossing powder flakes have migrated or maybe are sticking to the die cut letters, I'm taking a dry paintbrush and I'm just removing any of those little embossing powder flakes so that it looks nice and bold white. Then I'm going to buff away any of that excess powder once my sentiment has cooled, and it's time to add our cute little images. So we're going to add our kitties and mouse along the bottom edge here, and then we're going to have the kitty on the left, the little gray kitty or black kitty that's sitting looking up. He's going to be looking at a little butterfly, and that's where the little yellow butterfly is going to go. Now I want to add a little dimensional embellishment that is just subtle but fun, and I love these little funfetti heart accents. So we're going to do a little trio of those down here below. But I think the top part of the card is a little bit light on embellishment. And so to balance that out, that's where we're going to go in and add some additional things. But first, let's go ahead and put together the school rules card. For this one, we're going to do Thanks Teacher, and then we are going to stamp and emboss. It takes a big heart to shape little minds. So again, you can see I've laid everything out, but nothing is attached yet. And starting in the center and working my way out, I'm going to build my letterboard. I die cut all of these the exact same way as well. So for teacher, we're going to start with the letter C and then just work our way out on either side. I'm using some tweezers to hold on to these and then add a little bit of Ranger Multi Matte Medium to the back and then placing them down in place. Tweezers are one of those tools that are just so worth it to have. These actually are not my favorite tweezers. I have two different pairs. I had got this new pair, and because my other ones are kind of grungy and they just don't get clean, they don't look clean no matter how many times I do clean them. But these don't have as strong of a pinch as my other ones, so I do find myself going back to my old ones most of the time because they just hold on to things so great. The ones I love are from EK Success. In case you're looking for some, those are my favorite right now, but just works so great for placing little bits and pieces or holding on to them so you don't get your fingers in the glue and all of that good stuff. So just like before, now that we have our die cut sentiment, that big, bold, bright sentiment, we're going to add our white sentiment with the stamped and embossed greeting from School Rules. I'm going to take a dry paintbrush and remove any of those stray embossing flakes. I really want to make sure that I get rid of any of that because it kind of doesn't always look so clean and neat. We'll heat set our sentiment, wait till it's cool, take a dry microfiber cloth and buff away any of that excess powder, and then glue our cute little images in place along the bottom edge of our letterboard. And they're just so cute and fun. I just love the Mama Elephant critters. Let's add a few funfetti hearts to this card as well. So I played around with where I want my placement exactly. And I decided that we'll have a couple of little hearts and then the final red heart will be in the center of the globe, which ended up being another one of my favorite little parts of this card. I am huge about finishing details. It's one of my very favorite things about paper crafting in general. And so any little touch like that just always really does it for me. Here are those remaining two little mice that I stamped, and then the little butterfly, the other style of butterfly. We're going to do some purples for this with just a nice little light purple and then blend it out with a blender and then die cut all of these. And then we're going to glue these to both of the cards. And the fun thing is these, there's at least going to be something that's going to be up at the top of the cards. So for the perfect card, we're going to have the little running mouse running across the top of the letters on the perfect new kitty card, and we'll add the other little butterfly kind of up high as well. And then for the Thanks Teacher card, we're going to have the mouse sitting on top of one of the letters. And I kind of played around all over the place. I'm going to end up putting him on top of the letter A. But it balances out the cards so nicely. The style of all of the critters are the same. So they're going to just work together beautifully if you want to mix and match. And there are both of my cards. They open up, they're letterboard shaped, just really, really cute and fun and super easy to create. Thank you guys so much for joining me today for these two letterboard shaped cards featuring new stamps and dies from the Mama Elephant June 2020 release. The supplies I used to create my cards are listed and linked below the video here on YouTube. Here are a couple more videos featuring Mama Elephant stamps and dies that you might be interested in. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell to never miss a new card making video. Thank you guys so much for joining me today, and we'll catch you next time.